Welcome to the Coachzing Show, helping you work less, earn more, and reach more people through creative content marketing. Join the Coach Zingers community, where the world's best coaches, therapists, authors, and speakers come together to discover the latest trends, forge powerful joint ventures, and grow their business together. Go to coachzing.com/community to join. And now, here's your host, Doug Foresta.
Hello, and welcome back to the Coachzing Show. This is your host, Doug Foresta, and I am so pleased to have back with me Aprille Janes, and we're going to have a deeper dive into all things content marketing. Today, we're going to talk about, are you hunting or are you farming, and what does that mean? Well, I look forward to digging into this myself. It's a really good question to ask yourself with your marketing efforts. Aprille Janes is author, a coach, business coach. She does a lot of work with story selling, and I encourage you to go to her website, aprillejanes.com. That's APRILLEJANES.com. Aprille Janes, welcome back to the Coaching Show.
Thanks, Doug. I'm really glad to be back. I love talking to you. So
Thank
lots
you.
of fun.
Thanks. Same here. The feeling is mutual. And well, let's start with this. We were chatting a little bit before we started, and you had mentioned this idea of this question about, are you hunting or are you farming? Can you explain what that means?
Yeah, first, I wish I could take credit for it, but it's actually Seth Godin's concept. And he really explains it quite beautifully in his book, Permission-Based Marketing, because that's really what we're talking about here, permission-based marketing. And so many of us fall back into that old interruption style marketing, because it's what we grew up with, right?
Yeah.
TVs and all of that. And basically, the hunter concept is you take a gun and you just start banging away. And if you shoot enough bullets, you know you're eventually going to hit something. So, you can even take time off and go hunting again when you're ready, and you'll still bag a few people. But that's the old style interruption marketing. It's where people really, most of us are not out there waiting to be hunted, and because we hate being sold to, right? So that's the hunter side of it. The farmer side of it is where we actually nurture relationships and we grow them like a farmer in his field. We plant some seeds, we give them time to come up, we hoe and water and weed, and then eventually we harvest. And it takes some care, and it takes a knowledge of your ground and what's going on around what's those seeds. But it's more predictable, which is really nice. However, if you take time off, in other words, if you disappear from your market, you could lose your entire crop. So right. It has its risks too. The flip side, though, is it's scalable. If you start small and you know how, and you get it working, then you just start planting more seeds and you get more crops. So that's kind of the other side of it. That's permission-based marketing.
Can you say a little bit? I mean, when I think about, for example, the hunter model, I think about these guys I once heard that, doing cold calling, and they're like, we kill, you eat what you kill, and I thought, well, I don't really want to kill anybody. That's not why I went into coaching. Like, I really don't want to kill anyone. But I mean, so I think of cold calling as sort of the prototypical way of going out with the hunter model. But I'm curious about what would be the other model, the farming model. How would I go about? I mean, what are some of the things that I would do to start gathering people in that way?
Well, I think first off, social media, podcasts, those things are great, because what we're doing is we're giving people value. We're making ourselves attractive so that they come to us. Those are the seeds that we're planting. That I'm not just, I was, as an example, let's say I was selling nutritional products to people with children. A lot of what I would be offering wouldn't be about those products. It'd be about the things that I know my customers really are passionate about. They want to maybe keep their kids from being bullied. They want to great family vacations, things like that. So I would provide more than just information about my product. I'd start providing information about what I know my customer really is passionate about, cares about. And so I end up curating content for them, which makes it easier for them to find what they want. They start relying on me as an expert that they can count on, someone they can have confidence in. So I think that's a big way to get started with the social media. It also works the same way face to face, talking to people, not just hitting them. I think of going to networking groups. I just went to one recently, and there's always people who they're just instant commercials, right? but they're not really giving you a tip that you could take away and use. And so they're kind of forgettable. Whereas if the people that gave tips, I remember them because I know they're doing something for me. They've got my best interest at heart.
Yeah, I mean, that's really the essence to me of like, the fancy word content marketing. That's what I think of as content marketing or inbound marketing, is the idea of being able to attract people based on sharing valuable content. I really do think that what, they call like push marketing or, the interruption marketing is almost dead. I mean, you have to have, I guess if you're Coca-Cola or you're Pepsi, and you can get some famous star to show up, then you can make it happen. But I don't have that kind of money.
Well, and the truth is, Pepsi and Coca-Cola, they're turning away from this interruption marketing as well. They're looking for something different. Coca-Cola's got a great, it came out 2 or 3 years ago, but I'm sure you can still find it on YouTube, and how they were turning to story because they know people will connect to that. They know they're being filtered out. And it's why you're seeing products more and more on your favorite TV programs. When your favorite actor opens up the refrigerator to get something out, you'll see a jar of something or a can of something. And it's because they know they need to put the product where it's part of the story.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I never thought of product placement that way, but they're becoming part of the story. It's like, oh, I remember when I watched that episode and he grabbed that Coca-Cola and then he told her off or whatever it is, but it becomes part of the story.
It's very subtle, but it's there, and it plants a seed. It's farming. Yeah.
Yeah. So interesting. The other thing though that I'm wondering about is the thing I think about is that the farming method takes more time, and I'm curious about your thoughts about that. Like, I know people say things like, well, if I start a blog, like how long will it be before people start buying my thing? Or if I start a podcast, how many podcast episodes will I have to do before I can get a client? And I'm curious about your thoughts about that, about, the issue of time.
Well, I kind of look at it this way. First off, it's good. Your audience is going to decide whether you're doing it the right way and how quickly you're going to engage with you. So what I would suggest first is you try a few things, and if they're not engaging, then you need to adjust, because you don't really have the control here anymore. It's the customer that has it. And what I like about, I have to put some investment of time up front, but I'm going to have a long-term relationship because I've created a relationship, not just a sale. And people will come back over and over, or they'll refer you over and over when they feel that they have been respected and trusted and heard, versus you just went out and all you wanted from them was their dollars. So I think it's like dating, right? If you start to date somebody and they know you're not really interested in them, you just want to, trophy something on your arm or whatever, people are going to shy away from that. But if there's a real attempt at relationship, then it can go deeper.
It's funny you said that, because it's exactly what I was thinking. I was thinking about dating, and I had this image of, it's like going on a date. You go, so how many of these do we have to do before we get married? What is it, 10, 15? You let me know.
Yeah.
Right.
And then I'll know what day to propose. Yeah.
And I'll know what day to propose. And right. I mean, I just think it's a very different, I think it's a mindset shift, right? I mean, that's the hunting versus farming. I mean, if you go into farming with how many crops can I kill, you're not going to have a very good farm.
I love that. How many crops can I kill? But it's true. If you go in, well, think about it. If the kid who plants their first garden and they keep pulling the plant up to see how the roots are going. And that's kind of what we're saying. How long is it going to take before this thing starts to give me something? Yeah. And we just kill it because we keep yanking it up to see what it's doing.
Well, let's talk a little bit also about story, because I know that's something that's really your area of expertise. And I think it fits in well with this, in the sense of, one of the things that people struggle with, I know, because I speak to them a lot, is coaches, authors, speakers say to me, I can't get traction. I just can't get people to listen. I can't seem to get clients. And can you say a little bit about the importance of being able to tell stories in order to engage people?
Well, first off, I think when you get when you tell your story, I know because I've seen this happen over and over again. When you tell a personal story, and I don't mean, airing all your dirty laundry, but saying, here's what happened to me and here's what I learned from it. Or here's what happened to me and here's why this is so important to me to be doing this today. It takes you off the pedestal and people can get closer. And I think a lot of the problem we have today connecting with other people is some of us are in love with being the expert and we don't want our warts to show. And so we're too slippery. We can't get a hold of somebody like that, right?
Yeah.
But when we become very human and say, I get it. I understand. I've been there. And you know what? I'm here to help you. That's a very different conversation beyond, I know this is good for you and let me tell you why. Because that removes you from the story completely. It's all about the other person. This is good for you and let me tell you why you should be doing it. Versus, let me help because I've been there. And that's a conversation. It's two-way communication when that starts.
And what I hear in that too is the other piece is that what I hear in that is that people really want to know who we are. They don't just want the content from us. They also want to know. I mean, I find people all the time want to know that. It's like, yeah, you teach podcasting, but who are you? Like, why are you doing this? And I don't think people will really listen to us even until they kind of know who we are.
It's true. And it's not that they're looking for the bona fides that you have behind it, although that's important. They want to know that you care about them and that you understand their problem, that you have real hope for them.
Well, that's a very good point because I think that's another piece. Like when you say tell your story, there are people who go, well, in 2007, I graduated from the, school of coaching. And then I got my master's and then my PhD, but that's not the kind of story you're talking about. You're talking about, right?
Right. I actually, and I'll say I was, guilty of that for a long time. And if people go to my website and look at the Why Aprille page, you'll see it's a very personal story. I talk about losing my first business. Here I am, a business coach, and it was not a story I thought I wanted to tell, but I talk about losing my first business about 30 years ago and what that meant to me and my family and my journey. And I've had more people come to me now and say, wow, you really get it. You understand what the fear is and what's at stake here. And it shifted everything for me in my business. But it wasn't here's when I graduated, here's what I learned, it was a very personal journey that I shared.
Yeah, it's so funny because I really do see that a lot where people are trying to, like, I understand it because like we want to build up our credentials. We want to let people know how many credentials we have, but like in my practice as a therapist, no one has ever asked me, I always talk about this, no one has ever asked me where I graduated from or what kind of diploma I have, or I don't think they'd care if I didn't graduate from high school as long as I can take their insurance and that, that they just want to kind of know who I am. Like, are you a caring person? Do you get me? But no one has ever asked me like any questions ever about my credentials.
And what you point to is really true because we will get paid more for who we are, not for what we do. Because there's a gazillion people out there doing what we do. A little exaggeration, of course, but there's a lot of us out there, right, doing what we do.
Yeah. And
people are looking for the ones that say, okay, I get you, so I know you're going to get me. We're looking for that connection.
That's where, so that coming back to the story piece. So, one story certainly is about our vulnerability, right? A vulnerability, and this is who I am. What other kinds of stories would be important for me to be able to tell that, again, would engage and harvest people, so to say?
Well, the sales story, of course, marketing and sales. I always say once upon a time in marketing, because what you want to tell is a story where you're not the hero. It's another client or customer who is the hero, who had a similar problem or a similar goal that they wanted, that your product or service was the answer to. So, and it takes the format of the hero's journey. The hero is the customer whose problem was solved. The problem is what they were trying to get, either a dream achieved or a problem solved or an obstacle removed. And the resolution of that story is how you brought them to as their faithful sidekick, brought them to a successful resolution of that. And that's very simplified, but that's really what you're looking for. And if you're going to get testimonials from people about products and services, folks, ask them those questions. Where were you before we met, and how were you feeling about that? What was it you were looking for? What other things did you try, and how did you feel about that? And what changed for you when we worked together? And how do you feel about that now? And you'll get dynamite testimonials that go way beyond like, oh, I really like Doug. He's a fun guy.
Right. That's not the greatest testimonial. Yeah. So even the testimonials should really tell a story. Getting each testimonial then should really tell a powerful story about your work and the transformation you create for clients.
Yes. And they're easy to get with those questions.
Yeah.
And just giving the other person an opportunity to speak. And so you either record it so you get their phrases, or you have them write it down, through an email or something, so that you get their words, because that's third party credibility that you can actually use in your sales stories. So they build on each other.
What I really like about this approach, Aprille, is that I think the world that we operate in, I think that the people do not respond well. I think there's a real backlash to the kill mentality, to the hunter mentality. I know I'm very turned off by it. If I have a conversation with someone and I feel like they're trying to close me or kill me, for lack of a better term, it doesn't feel very good to be on the other side. But if somebody tells me a story and engages me and offers content, that I'm going to want to go further with them. So to me, I think of this as, I'm just curious about sort of, I guess, the results that you've seen for your, for the clients that you work with in switching to this model.
Oh, I can give you a very personal story how it helped me when I switched to this model. I had been training, and somebody was coaching me and using that more hunter mentality. And I would get up front, and my husband, who's not Mr. Sensitivity, he works with computers and not so much with people, but he heard me do my pitch from the stage, and he said, "What was that?" He said, "You were like totally like Jekyll and Hyde. You were so different." And I didn't make a single sale that day.
Yeah.
Oh, so what I need to do is come back to who I was. And I chose to tell story, plant the seeds, nurture the people that I was talking to, and not be so invested in whether I bagged them and brought them home, right? And I went from 0 sales to I made 6 phone calls and closed 6 sales.
That's beautiful. So, speaking of story, Aprille, I know that you have a new program that you are helping people to share their story and to engage people much in the way we've been talking about. Can you say a little bit about that?
Oh, I'd love to. I'm really excited about it. I just finished the test pilot. I have 6 test pilots went through it, who gave me a lot of feedback so we could really bring a lot of value to the table for people, what people really were looking for. It will be launching in July. The page for that will be going up one day next week, and I'll send you the link for that, Doug, for the show notes page. It's called The Story Project, and it's actually builds as you go through the program from the stories that you tell yourself right out to the stories that you tell others. And it's done very logically so that as you go along, you're creating your stories, your content, and building one. We do the testimonials and then how to use them. And it was a lot of fun. And the stories that I heard back from people who are using it and making a real impact they were exciting. I had goosebumps listening to them talk about it.
So how can people find out more about it?
They can go to my website, apriljanes.com, and look for The Story Project. There will be apriljanes.com/The Story Project. And all the information will be there, what they'll be getting, some testimonials and all that good stuff. And they can register for it right there. The first project starts July the 16th.
Aprille Janes, it's always a pleasure. Thank you for returning to the Coachzing Show, and I look forward to continuing the conversation.
Me too.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone, for listening. We'll be back Monday through Friday with more great guests helping you to work less, earn more, and help more people through creative content marketing. Till next time, this is Doug Foresta at The Coachzing Show.
Thank you for listening to The Coachzing Show. Subscribe to us via iTunes, and please leave us a review. It helps us grow our awesome tribe. This show is brought to you by Coachzing.com's Speak to Publish book system. If your book is stuck in your head, we can help you get it out in just a dozen hours of your time. Go to Coachzing.com for more information. Have you joined the Coachzingers community yet? You'll get exclusive access to private mastermind calls where you can get instant marketing help from industry experts. Plus, we'll help you forge deals and partnerships with other like-minded professionals. Go to coachzing.com/community to join now.